Greetings! I'm Richard, this is Grasscat Tutorials, and we're back at the RPG Maker tutorial series where we do a quest to open a box. So far, in this grand adventure of ours, we've got everything set up. We have the box in the tower. When we open the box, it turns on a switch. That switch allows our NPC quest giver over here in the inn to detect that we have opened the box and complete the game. Our NPC quest giver even has a midpoint acknowledgement of that, yeah, we've talked to them but haven't opened the box yet. There's just one little thing missing from all of this so far, in that there's no challenge, there's no fights, there's no random encounters, there's no boss fight, there's nothing here. So we need to fix that. Thankfully, adding in random encounters and boss fights are fairly easy to do. So we need to make sure that we're on our overworld, and we are going to right click and we are going to select Edit to bring up our map properties window. There's two areas that we need to take a look at: our encounter steps and the encounters list. Encounter steps is the maximum number of steps the player can take before a fight will occur. The closer you get to this number, the greater the odds are that the player will get a random encounter. So every step or every tile that the player moves, the chances of an encounter gets higher. This does not mean that every 30 steps we get a fight. Like I said, there is a chance every step that you could have an encounter, but it's very unlikely that we'll get an encounter 4 or 5 steps after the last one. It's possible, but it's unlikely to happen very often. Likewise, we probably won't go the full 30 steps very often without getting an encounter either. Usually somewhere between, around the 50% mark of your encounter steps, you can count on, there's a pretty good chance the player's going to get a fight at that point. So every 15 to 20 tiles that the player moves across, we can be reasonably certain that there's going to be a fight. Now, what is displayed, what actually attacks the player, is determined by our encounter list over here. If there is nothing in this list, then there are no random encounters, regardless of what the encounter steps is set to. Now, adding something to this list is fairly easy. We can just double click, and then we can select from the defined troops. Now, this is something that is controlled in the database, and in the sort of extra content or extra credit tutorials that I'll do on this sequence, we'll very lightly delve into that, but for now we're going to ignore the database and we're just going to select exactly what is available to us. So say the two goblin fight is the most basic of the encounters. Now this weight by itself doesn't really mean very much, as it says, the frequency at which the troop is encountered. If I hit OK, and if I was to leave my encounter list like this, the weight would have no impact. Right? There's just the one encounter, so obviously that's the encounter I'm going to get. But what if I wanted to also have a small chance of the player also encountering some gnomes? So I can add in another, so I double clicked, changed my troop to gnome, but I don't want this to be an even encounter rate. So I'm going to take the weight value here, and I'm going to pull it down to 2, and then hit OK. So now the weight of goblins is 5, and the weight of gnomes is 2. So basically there's a 5 in 7 chance that I'll get a goblin encounter, and a 2 in 7 chance of getting a gnome encounter. So I should get more goblins than gnomes on the average. And that's it. That's all you got to do to set up random encounters on a map. Let's get a little bit more practice in this and set some encounters up in the tower. We'll make the tower a little bit more dangerous. So let's right-click Edit, Encounter steps. Let's pull this down to 25. We don't want to pull it down too low. For example, it would be a bad idea to change it down to 10. Because you got to remember, about halfway to your encounter steps, you're starting to get pretty good odds that the player will hit a random encounter. This is saying like every 5 to 7 steps, the player's probably going to be getting a fight, and that's going to be annoying. We don't want that. We don't want to annoy the player. So I'm going to change the encounter steps to 25. So it's a little bit more frequent in the tower, but hopefully not annoyingly so. I'm also going to add in some more encounters here. So I'm going to add in goblins. And I'm also going to increase the weight to 6. And then I'm going to add in gnomes. And I'm going to increase the weight to 6. And I'm going to add in some crows. And I'm going to increase the weight to 6. Now, since all of these have the same weight, there is an equal chance of any one of these 3 encounters being selected. The last encounter that I'm going to add in here is the treant. And I'm going to set its weight down to 1. So now I have a total weight of 19. So there's going to be a 1 in 19 chance of the player encountering a treant, or roughly a 5% chance. Not really good odds. Very possible to go many testing rounds and never encounter a treant. But it's sort of a coin toss between whether or not we'll encounter a goblin, a gnome, or a crow. Alright, so now we've got a slightly more dangerous tower than the outside world. The last thing that I want to add into this is I want there to be a boss fight. When we open up this treasure chest, I want us to fight a boss. So flipping back over to my events, I'm going to open up the treasure. And what I'm going to do is at the very end here, I'm going to add in some additional events. Remember, these commands are always processed in order. So it's going to process this, then this, then this, then this, so on and so forth. So I'm going to let all of this process, and then I'm going to display a new text box. So I'm going to go to page 1, show text. A monster emerges from the shadows. Hit OK. And then I'm going to start a fight. So again, I'm going to double click. I'm going to go to tab 3. And battle processing is the command that I need for this. As it says there from the tooltip, starts a battle. Now, you've got some options here. We can direct designation. We can designate it with a variable. We can just have it be the same as a random encounter. But in this particular case, we want a direct designation, and we're going to start a fight with the high monster. Now, we've got some additional options down here. Can lose, can escape. We do not want to check either of those. Can escape says that the player is allowed to escape from this fight, just like any other random encounter. We don't want that. We do not want the player to be able to escape. It's do or die. Likewise, if you wanted to set up a sequence in which it is perhaps expected for the players to lose, or you want the game to continue from the player losing, then you would want to check the can lose option here. So, direct designation, high monster, nothing else selected, hit OK, and there we go. We now have our treasure chest set up so that the player is going to have to do a grueling boss battle to win the day. Not really. Actually, the default party is capable of taking this guy out from the start. But we'll deal with balance in a different video. Alright, we've got everything we need, so let's test this out. Very strong headphone user warning here for this one. The main menu theme song isn't really all that intense. The default battle music is. So if you have me turned up and or you are wearing headphones to listen to this video and you're doing your testing, be forewarned, RPG Maker's gonna let you know you have a fight on your hands. And as always, my audio is muted, so you will not get any battle music from my video. So we're going to save. We're going to hit the test button. Going to do a new game. Talk to the NPC. Yep, his dialogue is still working. I just like to test things. Just all the things as I'm going through and testing the game, just to make sure that everything's still working and I count everything. So here we go. 2 goblins emerged. That's what was expected. So I'm just gonna blitz through this as quickly as I can. There we go, and I was victorious in the combat. Oh, and hey, we got a gnome fight. We are lucky. And there we go. Combat finished. And Casey leveled up, woo, and we can go back to our inn. We can rest up. Yes, I would like to rest. There we go. Get a little sleepy time song. Again, my volume's off, so you would not have heard that. And now we can go through and test the tower. We should get at least 1 fight, maybe 2 fights, trying to walk all the way around here. There we go. Got some gnomes again. Take them out. Oops, did not mean to do magic on that, but oh well. There we go. That should take out that gnome. And then take out the other one. Oh no, he used Venom, but thankfully there was no effect. Alright, last battle round. There we go, the gnome is down. Everybody's level 2 now, so we can open up our treasure chest. 50 gold is found, and then the next box should be... A monster emerges from the shadows. Oh no! It is the High Monster. And then we can take this guy out. Now, I generally try to avoid cuts, but I am going to do a small cut here because the point of this is not to showcase the RPG Maker battle system, it's to test our game. So, I'll be right back. And welcome back. So, we have slain the foul evil boss, got some more levels up, excellent, and now we can leave the dungeon. We'll probably get another fight, but I'll just try to run from it if we do. Yep, some crows. Run away! Get out of there. We should be able to make it back to town without fight. Yay, we did, and now we can talk to our NPC, who will congratulate us, and game over. There we go. We now have a complete, fully functional, if extremely simple, adventure created in RPG Maker. So now you can use these basics to create a larger game that has more dungeons, more boxes to open, so on and so forth. Now, this is the official end of this particular tutorial sequence, but I do want to push this a little bit further. So if you are interested in seeing how we can take something that is extremely simplistic and spruce it up a bit and add just a little bit of extra spice to it, there's going to be another, at least 1, maybe 2 additional video tutorials related towards this particular project. But once those are done, I will move on to doing a tutorial sequence for a larger project that involves much more manipulations of systems, including manipulating the party, creating new character classes, items, spells, etc. As always, if you have enjoyed my presentation here, a thumbs up would be appreciated. If you didn't, well, the thumbs down button is right next to it.